I'm Arthur Moats, and I'm here to tell you about my new book, The Moats Theory of Life. If you haven't picked up a copy yet, I strongly encourage you to. This book not only is a fun read, but it's a guide to helping you become a person of impact and inspiration. If you are ready to take the next step to improving not only your life, but those around you as well, go get a copy of The Moats Theory of Life, and it's available at moatstheory.com. What's up? It's the Arthur Moats Experience with Deke. I'm Arthur Moats, and that's my main man, Deke.
What's up there?
My brother, whoa, wait a minute now. You got an extra button up there. Are you trying to hide some skin, man?
Way.
What's going on in here, Deke?
Man.
Come on, bro.
I think I'm losing weight. Maybe that's what
it is?
I think it is, yeah.
Quarantine, new quarantine, new you?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm just losing weight, yeah.
I like it, man. Yeah, I'm used to seeing an extra button open, man. You know what I'm saying?
I think this is down far enough, dude.
You're a sex symbol, bro. Come on, man.
No.
Bro, I've seen the comments, man. People like, yo, I love when Deke be showing that extra button.
No.
Let me see the top of the navel. That's what they be saying, bro.
They don't like that.
They do, bro. I see in the I've even showed you some comments where they talk about you as a sex symbol, especially with the glasses. We know what you know what I'm saying, man?
This is like few and far between, though.
Nah, man. Listen, let me. I got the narrative here. All right, let me just roll with it.
Okay.
Deke's a sex symbol. When you show that extra button, the rating go up. We get more views. Our percentage of women followers goes up as well. Right now, we're teetering at about that 3 to 4% women on YouTube right now. But every time you show some more taco meat, that thing boop up a little bit more, man. I'm sorry. I'm just saying, bro. I'm just saying.
So you're telling me to drop a button right now?
Well, I don't like how that sounds personally.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that.
Okay. I'm just asking, dude.
You would never hear those words come from my mouth. Not a chance, bro. What?
Just asking, dude.
Oh, man. You're funny, bro. But that's what makes you, bro. This is all good.
But if it's for the ratings, I don't know. Maybe midway through, we'll see.
We just play it by ear.
We'll see how hot my takes are today.
If he's flaming,
dude, I do got some things to say with.
I'm excited for you, man.
With the article you sent, so I'm excited to talk about that too. Yeah.
And we're gonna get to that, but you know, everybody that sees the hat, y'all know what this is, man. It's Victory Monday, so shout out to my dog, my boy. Kevin, the closer, Harvick, strikes again. He's been hot. Let me just tell you, it's the hat, bro. Ever since I bought the hat,
it's getting worn in,
bro. Ever since I bought the hat, 2 victories, 1 second place finish, bro. He is on fire right now. His car has been it's beautiful. So obviously they were at the Brickyard this past weekend in Indianapolis. And the unique thing about this track, so we talked about last week, Pocono. It's a triangle. They call it the tricky triangle because it's the only track shaped like a triangle. You know what I'm saying? Three corners, right? Then we talked about how like Talladega, they got the big banks, Bristol, they got like super big banks. So when you're driving up there, I mean, you can't even walk up there just because of how steep it is. At the Brickyard, it's all flat. No banks at all. So you got to be able to get in and out of the curves, right? So my boy Kevin Harvick doing what he does best. Mind you, this made his 3rd victory at the Brickyard. He won it last year as well. Yeah, but this year he did it in way more exciting fashion. So obviously him and the boy Denny Hamlin, right? I tell you, they've been going back and forth of lately, man. It's been really exciting watching how this thing gets heated up. So Harvick is winning. This is probably going into like the last 30 to 50 laps, like that range, right? Harvick's at the lead, man. He's doing his thing, wheeling, dealing, getting nasty with it. Denny Hamlin, though, has the faster car. So from a time standpoint, even though Harvick is winning, Denny Hamlin's laps are a faster pace. But because obviously Harvick has the clean air and he's able to cut him off at the corners, he's able to maintain it. So they're trying to pit. Now this is the strategy part, right? Because it's to the point where, hey, we know we both got to pit. This is going to be our last pit for the race. But who pits first? Do you pit? You think you can get around before he can get out of the pit? Or do you think you can pit and get back out there and all these other things, right? So communication mishap. Denny Hamlin comes into pit. Harvick was supposed to come in the pit as well. But they said that 2 guys were talking on the microphone at the same time. Harvick doesn't hear it. So now Harvick ends up having to stay out an extra lap while Hamlin gets a chance to pit. So now by the time Harvick comes back around, tries to go into pit, he has a slow pit as well. Tires, it just wasn't crisp as it should have been. Denny Hamlin now takes the lead. So now, man, we're watching this race, and I'm just like, dude, my boy, man, he was rolling.
Critical point.
He was doing so good. I'm like, man, and the only reason we're losing right now is a mishap on us. Like, this sucks. And there was no cars in front to like slow him down, because a lot of times, like we talked about, when you're in front, you get the clean air, so your car is going to be flying. But now we're like, dang, if nobody comes in front of him to slow him down, how can we catch Denny Hamlin? So it was giving me flashbacks of the week before, because literally Saturday Pocono, Harvick was in front, Hamlin behind, couldn't catch him. Then on Sunday, Hamlin was in front, Harvick's behind, he can't catch him. So we're like, dang, like it's about to happen again. This sucks. And now it becomes less. This 9 laps. Just at the 9 lap mark, they start going, and the announcers, they do what they do. Sometimes you call it great. Sometimes you call it a jinx. They start going into this whole story of how Denny Hamlin has always been frustrated because this is the one race he hasn't won. Wow. This is the one race that he's won is so bad. This is the one time that he's going to be able to check off the box and say that he can make history in terms of winning. I think it might have been Daytona or another race and the Brickyard 400 in the same season. Suppose it doesn't happen. I think it's Talladega. He said he had a chance to win both of them. So we're like, oh man, they're gassing it up. And I'm just over here miserable, laying on my wife like, dang.
Like you thought it was over?
I was having my doubts. I'm like, I know he's the closer, but the thing was, it wasn't no traffic. So if there's no traffic, it's nothing going to slow him down. So literally every lap, and the thing was this, when Harvick had got his new tires, because he had been out there longer now, mind you, we knew that. So just give you context, they say, all right, the way you can have your car set up is a tighter car, a looser car, you could trim it down. So when they trimmed it down, they had on really good tires, but they lowered it. So in and out of curves, you're not going to be good, but on a straightway, you're going to be able to fly. Because like from an aerodynamic standpoint, your car is built just to go fast right now. But it only works as long as your tires are good. So we know the longer the race is going on, the worse his tires are going to be, which means the worse he's going to be.
Yeah.
So I'm like, dude, the clock's ticking.
Wow.
I'm like, man, this sucks. Like, and then something crazy happened.
What happened?
As they're jinxing my man, going on this pomp and circumstance of how Denny Hamlin is going to be able to overcome it and win the Brickyard and do something historic, he wipes out. He just randomly turns and crashes, bro.
What did they say happened?
He ended up getting a flat tire. His right front tire went flat on a curve. And the thing was, this is probably the 5th car that did the exact same thing at the exact same corner. I'm talking like smack the wall hard.
Throughout the whole race?
Yeah. We saw like multiple cars do it like recently as well.
Whose fault is that?
They said it just happens sometimes with the wear, just depending on like which stage you are on those tires, if they were a good set of tires or not, in terms of like the because they say they predetermine which tires are going to go. So if the set wasn't as good, or it could have been anything, but they said ultimately the wear caused the right tire to go flat. And I'm talking like he's by himself and he just smacks the wall. Bam! Fire comes out. Like it was crazy, dude. It was crazy. So even Harvick said like when he passed him, he was like, man, we were excited because we were going to get in first, but we knew like, yo, that could be bad just because of how hard he hit. Shout out to the technology at NASCAR though. They apparently like they changed the Brickyard's barrier. So it used to be just cement. Now they have these like foam like triangles behind the barrier. So it's supposed to give him a little bit of cushion. But bro, he hit that wall so hard. I was like, yo, this is out of control, bro. But it ultimately opened the door for the closer to take over.
He ended up being good though, right?
Yeah. He was good. But it was crazy because that happened. But earlier in the race, it was a crash on pit road where one of the crewmen got hit. Yeah, it was nuts, bro. It was nuts, man. Yeah, like literally you see the crew guy running over to change the tire, crash coming, he gets hit, he like flails out and he's like trying to scoot out the way for the other car's crash. It was nuts, bro.
So this is the part that I saw. Mm-hmm. It was like literally the last 2 or 3 laps.
Yeah.
But they headlined it as overtime.
Yes.
Why was it overtime?
All right. So the way it works is this. Anytime, like traditionally during the race, when there's a crash, they have what they call caution. A caution flag comes out. So if the cars are still driving around, those still count as laps. So even though you're not racing full speed,
everyone's in the position they were in.
Yeah, but it's still taking a lap off. Every time you go around, it takes a lap off. So when he crashed, they ended up going into caution for like 4 or 5 laps.
And that was over.
Yeah, so technically it would but you're not allowed to end the race under caution. Mm-hmm. So what they do, they have overtime, which is a green-white checkered. So literally you get the green flag to say you can go, white flag meaning 1 lap left, and then the checker meaning it's over.
Yeah. But
you can have multiple overtimes if on the green-white, if you don't make it to a certain part of the track on that white flag, they'll redo it. Like I say, it was a crash that happens, right? Like regardless if it was at the front or in the back, if a crash happens before you get a certain part of that white flag done, then they'll restart it again and have another green white checker.
It's like a halfway point typically.
Yeah, I think it's like 75% of it because they're saying, okay, if they crash and you're past this point, they'll still be able to finish the race without having to worry about getting into any mess coming back around. Whereas like if you crash on the checkered, they're not worried about it because it's like, hey, that they're not coming back around there. So as soon as they cross here, it's over with. So that's kind of why it works like that. So that's what the overtime element was. So it was exciting because now you talk about Harvick and Hamlin, who had a lead. Matt Kenseth, he was in third. Shout out to Matt. He pulled a Debo. So when I say that, he was retired this season. He was driving the 42 car from McDonald's. He was retired, right? And he wasn't going to come back. But remember when I told you there was a NASCAR driver that doing the virtual race and said the racial slur? He ended up getting kicked out, dropped off his sponsors. They called Matt and said, look, we need you to come back and drive. So he came back and started driving. Wow. Yeah. So that's how his situation worked out. But I mean, dude, he was balling. Like I said, he ended up finishing, I think it was second yesterday. But for a while, he was sitting in third and was catching up to my man Harvick. I was like, yo, this is nuts.
Well, they were right there. They were head to head whenever they started the overtime. But then
it was beautiful, bro.
Harvick got way ahead of Kenseth to finish it out. So what happens why did they give an explanation as to why he was just able to go like that?
So the technique was this. So traditionally, like when they're about to start on a restart, right? You'll see they'll talk about lane position. Some guys want to be in the inside lane, some guys want the outside lane. But what Harvick was saying was, I need whoever I end up getting in front of, I want them to push me. So it ended up, I think it was his teammate that he ended up getting in front of, and he was like, I'm not going to hit the gas until he pushes me. Now, when you're on the restart, but this is how it works though. When you're on the restart, because you were the leader, that other car can't go until you hit the gas and accelerate. So he knows like, yo, I'm not going to go until he hits my bumper. And we saw like another car had did it earlier. Actually, Denny Hamlin had did it earlier and passed guys. And then Harvick did it as well earlier in the race and passed some guys as well. So it was like Talladega Nights, almost like the movie, man, in terms of you see him hitting them, boom, 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 and then he hits the gas off of that. So it's kind of like giving him an extra push. And that's why he was able to like literally burst in front of everybody like that and not even have it close. Whereas if he doesn't do that, well, now he might, I mean, it would have been a lot closer coming out of that first turn, or it could have been neck and neck, which would have gave more favor to Matt Kenseth because he was on the inside of the track. So that part was cool. But the thing that's unique though, when you're talking about the team element of NASCAR, they were saying that that's the only part where you would help him. Like, because they were saying like, so say he didn't push him the way he needed to get pushed and it was close after that turn.
Does he basically have to push him?
Well, this is the thing. You don't have to, but it's the courtesy because we're teammates. You give me the push because I'm winning. If they were further back,
you were saying he wouldn't go until he hit his back anyway, right?
Yeah, but the thing was, they already communicated that through the walkie-talkies. Like, yo, let him know I'm not going until I get the push. Yeah. So when he pushed him, he's like, all right, cool. After that, the teammate's job is done. Now, if it would have been close coming out of the second turn, you expect that teammate to go try to win the race. So it's not like, hey, give him the push and hey, I'm supposed to just sit back and let him win. Like, no, you give him the push as a courtesy. But other than that, you're trying to win the race. But just because he was in the lead, that's why you do it like that. So that's why it worked out the way it worked out. But it was pretty dope though, man. Because like even with the push, if Matt Kenseth, the guy who was behind him, if he would have pushed him, then they could have still been neck and neck. And any of those guys after that could have had an opportunity to pass him.
So he just got lucky his teammate was behind
absolutely him. Yeah. Wow. Like it was literally just that fluky, bro.
And for this to be what I heard, it's like the Masters.
This is a big deal.
This is a big deal. I heard at least the announcer say, he said this is the greatest race, and I think he said the history of the world.
Yeah, just because the history behind it, because you obviously have the Indy 500, and you still have like the history. When you look at the track, you see the bricks, which is why they call it the Brickyard, and all those things. Everybody that's won there, you think about the elite racers, whether it's NASCAR or Indy, that have won on that track. So that's why it's such a big deal. And for Harvick, man, the fact that he won it last year and then turned around and won it again this year is crazy. This is third time winning there, man.
Where's he at all time amongst NASCAR drivers?
Hall of Famer.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, I would have to research it more to see if he's considered like a Jeff Gordon. Like Jeff Gordon would have been the equivalent to like how LeBron came in young and dominated early and had a crazy career. Or is he like a Mark Martin? Or is he like a Wall Trip? You know what I mean? Like it's so many different like people that I personally don't know how they rank them like that. Right. Like who's like the Michael Jordan.
Like I'm wondering now if people are starting to bump him up in some of these rankings right now. Just based off his season. But then if he finishes with the championship, I'm sure he'll get bumped up even more.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and the thing is, he's won multiple championships and this is his fourth win this season. So that ties him with Denny Hamlin in terms of having the most wins.
And I just checked too. We talked about this whenever we were doing the remote podcast. Mm-hmm. He's way ahead of all these
points.
Dudes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially, you said Hamlin's got the other one with the 4. Yeah, he's especially ahead of him. So. Yeah.
Well, and Hamlin, because he didn't finish now, takes a hit. Mm-hmm. So all of those things, I mean, it's a big deal. Like in terms of Harvick, like I said, Harvick's a Hall of Famer, future Hall of Famer, and it's more so just when is he gonna stop? But he's hinted to that he wants to drive until his 50s. He's like early 40s right now, which is like awesome because I got my gear, so I'm at least good for the next couple of years. And I have already been eyeing me a new cat. You know how you got
dude.
So like you know how you got the NBA, right? You had LeBron, right?
Because we've talked about this. Yeah. Yes, we have talked about this.
So we have LeBron, and then it's like, okay, when LeBron leaves, who's going to be our new guy? So the Xfinity series is like the NCAA.
Okay, so they're not competing in the same level.
Yeah, they're not the same level just yet, but he's like in the next. Like when the new wave of people come, he's going to be a part of that. So I've already been eyeing this cat for it's probably been the past 6 or 7 races I've been watching him. Okay. And I was like, okay, I kind of like this cat. Like he nice with it, man. He's winning. I'm like, okay, you know what? Whenever Harvick does retire, that's going to be my guy. Because I feel like it'd be kind of weird to just jump from Harvick to say, oh, now I'm going to go with Chase Elliott or I'm going to go with Ryan Newman or somebody like it's not because
it's a generation thing.
Yeah. And that'd be like, hey, all right, LeBron retired. Let's go Giannis now. Like, nah. Or let's go Kawhi. Like, no, I need it's got to be a new generation, a new wave for me, man.
Understood. Because you have Jordan. Mm-hmm. And then you pick your guy. Is it Kobe? Right. Are you picking Iverson?
See,
LeBron?
For me, I went Jordan, then I went Iverson, then from Iverson I went to LeBron.
Okay.
Like that's how I went. But
because Iverson's run went until like 2010 maybe when he got traded to the Nuggets.
Then it kind of went downhill.
Yeah. Even though, I mean, those teams were kind of interesting.
They were good, yeah.
They got better when they traded him, though.
Yeah. But for me, man, that was around the time when obviously LeBron was coming in. I was like, yeah, I'm going to go LeBron now because that transition is smooth. We're over. We're good now.
Yeah, because he still had his run with Cleveland at the beginning where you're really not expecting much from him in terms of big winning. But then his collapse with the Celtics, a couple of those series, losing to Orlando, you're like, all right, it's time to start winning now. And then that's when... went to the Heat, and that's when you can make your decision. Yeah. It's like, are you a LeBron guy or not? This is kind of like a breaking point.
You standing by him or you're not, man. Which one you gonna do? And I doubled down. I said, all right, man, give me the 6. Let's roll with it. Yeah, so for me, man, so my other guy, when he does make the jump from the Xfinity, his name is Chase Briscoe. He actually has 5 wins in the Xfinity series right now. He's been kicking some butt. I was also looking at a cat, Jeb Burton. I thought he was another guy. I was like, you know what? I know your uncle. You know what I mean? So in terms of war, but I was like, okay, I can see that. I like that. But he crashes a lot. And I'm like, I'm not really feeling the crashing like that. Whereas with Chase Briscoe, I'm like, you know what? You don't crash. You drive good. You're winning. I'm going to keep my eye on you. But for right now, though, we stand with the money team, baby. Kevin Harvick. Like I said, man, he's killing it in the points right now. He got his 4th win on the season, which ties him for the lead in terms of most wins this year. And, man, he's on fire, man. He's been running extremely well ever since.
This is wild, dude.
Yeah, it's nuts, bro.
This is wild. We start talking NASCAR.
It's nuts, bro.
The guy you pick is just going off. Like,
who would have thought? And the thing, too, it messes with me because, like, I like to bet on sports sometimes, right? I told you, you know what I mean? Like, but I can't really get a beat on how to bet on NASCAR because it's always like, okay, is it a first place finish, top 3 or top 10? But for Harvick, his odds are so bad when they talk top 3 or top 10 because he's consistently finishing up there.
Oh, yeah.
But it's so uncertain. It's not like with football, whereas if you got a juggernaut, okay, just go up out there, you're going to win. Like Denny Hamlin was going to win this race. And he crashed with 9 laps left. And it just so happened that my guy was the beneficiary of it. And on a restart, he had his teammate behind him. But I'm like, there's so much that goes into that I'm not even comfortable enough yet to be like, all right, I'm willing to put money on this. Like,
no, you know what it is, dude? You know what it is? Honest with you. I think you're a little more emotional about NASCAR than you are all these other sports. I think that's why it's tough for you. Because you don't want to bet against Harvick.
I don't. Even though I thought about it, it's been times where I'm like, Chase Elliott's been balling, man. He's been looking good. Denny Hamlin, let me put some money on you guys. But then I'm like,
You're gonna be hurting watching the game, or not the game, the race. If you bet against Harvick, you'll be hurting.
Yeah,
That's kind of my sentiment. Yeah,
I can't bet against him, bro. but I'm scared to like just put the money down because his odds
odds are bad, like you said.
I have to put so much money to win anything.
It's like betting the Patriots.
Yeah. It's just lose right now. So, but the benefit is I'm able to enjoy the victories, and it's all good. But I'm getting that itch, like, bro, I really want to just put a little juice on it.
Yeah, you might have missed your opportunity here too, just because when you're gonna bet he's gonna lose.
Oh yeah,
that's the problem.
I know.
That's the problem.
That's gonna be the one where he crashes or something, and now I'm just sick. Like, oh man,
why couldn't I bet this the last two races?
Yeah, man.
Good for you. Good for Harvick, man.
Yeah, man. So I'm gonna keep rolling with it. I'm gonna keep wearing my lucky hat because he's balling out. They got one more race this week, next weekend, Kentucky, but then after that, I got the All-Star. So I found out about the All-Star. Remember we talked about it. You asked me, you say, yo, man, tell me about the All-Star race, how that works. So the way it works is this, man. To qualify for the All-Star, you have to either have won a championship within the past, just won a championship in general, or have won stages or won a race within the past 2 years. So you still have a good amount of cars in the field, but
that haven't won though.
No. That have won. Like to qualify, that's how you get in.
Yeah, but you said win stages.
So remember I was telling you, like,
so they could have won a stage and not a race, though.
Correct. Yeah, but remember when I say winning a stage, it's still difficult to do because you still got the full 40 cars in the field.
Yeah,
and you have to have one, cross that checkered when it's however many laps ran that stage. So it's still very difficult. But after that, they have your fan vote where they can vote for the guy that they felt was most deserving but didn't get in because he hasn't won any of those qualifications. And now traditionally they have what they call the Monster Open. It's the day before the All-Star race. You'll be able to race in that if you haven't qualified, and if you win it, you get a chance to get in the race. But I don't know if they're going to do that this year because typically the race is on a Sunday. The Monster Open will be on a Saturday, but this year it's on a Wednesday because of the whole scheduling. They had to change location. It was supposed to be in Charlotte, now it's in Bristol, which they call the last great Coliseum. I love the names. Yeah, Bristol, Tennessee.
So what's going on here? I just heard Brickyard is the greatest race of all time.
Yeah, but now you got names. So Brickyard is the greatest race of all time. Pocono is the tricky triangle, and then they call Bristol, Tennessee the last great Coliseum because of how it was built. It's built like the old
So which one is really the best?
No. Brickyard is like dope. Like
that's the Masters.
This is just a name for it. It's no different than like Talladega. It's just it's when you talk about
but those are big names too. So like which one?
Think about it in the Masters, right? You still have multiple courses that are like, oh man, that's still like a dope course to play on. Like it's history with that course.
St. Andrews, British Open. You see what I mean? Yeah, like, I guess Pebble Beach, U.S. Open.
Pebble Beach is huge. Like they still are up there and regarded in the same. It's not like
I don't know if one touches the Masters though. Is there one that you would consider the Masters? Maybe St. Andrews British Open's kind of on that Masters level.
Because see, I look at Daytona. Daytona from a name standpoint has way more recognition than the Brickyard. But the Brickyard from a racing standpoint, when you're talking Indy or NASCAR, like Daytona is only dope for NASCAR. When you're talking,
that's like the newer wave.
No, just different. So you obviously know like the Indy cars are like the cars with the wheels exposed, right? And then you have the NASCAR, which is like your stock cars. So in NASCAR, the Daytona 500 is a big deal. But Indy cars don't race on the Daytona 500. The Brickyard, that's for like the form when you think about your Andretti's and all these guys, like
that's got the history,
right? But that's a track that has history for both NASCAR and your Indy driver. So that's why it's viewed as that, because it doesn't matter if you're a Formula One guy or you're a NASCAR guy. You know the Brickyard, you know Indy, you know this track is like it's special because whichever group you're with, this is where you want to race at. I mean, Jeff Gordon talked about he was coming up. He wanted like he moved to Indianapolis because he wanted to race Indy cars at the Indy 500 just because of the Brickyard. Like that was the whole history with it. And then he was like, well, he didn't get the opportunities because obviously it was more the political. You had to have a certain name or a certain amount of money to get in there. So then he went NASCAR with it. But when you're talking about just historic tracks, that track doesn't matter which style of car you're driving. That's the track. So that's why, even though we talk about, like I said, the last great Coliseum is dope from a NASCAR standpoint, but Formula One guys are like, I don't care about that. But then if you're a NASCAR guy and they're talking about, man, that track in Dubai, You're like, bro, I don't care about that. That's Formula One. Like, we're not driving in a Dubai track. You know what I mean? So that's the difference.
That's interesting, man. I'm learning a little bit.
Shoot, me too, man.
Because whenever you say Daytona, I just think party. But I'm just trying to equate these races here to something that I might know, like golf.
You think party. When I think Daytona, I think Daytona 500. When I think Talladega, I think Talladega Nights.
Okay, yeah,
you know what I mean? Yeah. Or you could do Days of Thunder. You know what I mean, with Tom Cruise. Like, that's just kind of my mindset. Like, I don't really associate it solely with that track and it being such pristine and the prestige around it. But going back to Bristol, though, they call it the last great Coliseum, and it's supposed to be just, I mean, it's dope. I think one of my first races I watched were there, and it was like awesome just seeing it, man. Like, it's a half mile, but the banks are big, so you know, you're in and out, you're flying around, but those dudes, man, when you're driving in there, it's a sight to see. So that's what the All-Star race, and the beauty for the All-Star race is this. They say it gets super competitive, and I was trying to figure out why. I'm like, it doesn't count for the standings. It's not like MLB where if you win that's going to have it's going to dictate, you know, location for your finals or your championship, stuff like that. They have a $1 million cash prize, though.
Oh, wow.
You win the race, you get $1 million. That's the difference. I said, oh, that's why people go crazy in this race. I got you now.
Maybe other leagues could take a page out of NASCAR's book here.
Yeah, because I was like, man, with the NFL, the Pro Bowl, they tried to bump the money up, but it was still, for the guys that make the Pro Bowl traditionally, you're taking a drastic pay cut in that game, so that's why they still not going to compete. Whereas in NASCAR, you win a race, you might get a couple $100,000, but to win $1 million for one race, like, that's a big deal.
Yeah, I guess that's tough for the team sports just because it is team.
Yes, absolutely.
So you can make the grand prize. I guess you'd have to make it like $10 million or something,
right? So it can probably
like
be divvied up. Yeah,
for hoops. So it would be what? It would have to be 15 maybe or 12, whatever. Well, because we saw how with the NBA this year, it was a lot more competitive when they changed the format in terms of the point element of it, and then they did. That was good
at the end too.
I do remember that now. What would I guess the Pro Bowl? I don't know how much they care about the Pro Bowl, to be honest with you.
Because I mean, you know, if you're playing in the Pro Bowl, you're not playing in the Super Bowl. Your season's over, and like you said, you're just taking the added risk. But the finances associated with it, we always say it's kind of like the playoffs, but worse because in the playoffs, at least you're competing for a championship, even though you're probably going to get 10% of what you would have traditionally made on a contract. Just for like a regular game, like you could be making six figures per game. You playing in the playoffs, you're getting a $10,000 check.
It's for that ring though, baby.
True, but you're still taking the same risk. We've seen guys get injured during the playoffs, during the championships, and how it's affected them going forward. So that's kind of the give and take with it. But at least you could say, "Hey, we're competing for a ring." Cool. If you don't win the ring,
why can't they change that? What's going on there?
I don't know, bro. It's something that But that's the difference. So when you talk about the Pro Bowl, similar situation from a money standpoint, but you're like, oh, you got the legacy. You're a Pro Bowler now. But you're like, bro, I'm taking the same risk.
And that's what I mean. I don't think
little bit of money. Like,
I don't think the NFL cares enough about the Pro Bowl.
I don't think
I'm sure the players don't, and I don't think the NFL would to add extra money into it. So it just seems like a lost cause right now. Yeah, man. So that's that whole situation. But I'm excited about watching my first All-Star race. That'll be July 15th, man. So I'm excited. Okay. Yeah. Do you have any expectations for it, or you think you're? I feel like I wouldn't want to be let down.
I don't think I'm gonna be let down. Just because when you're racing for $1 million, I feel like you're up the ante. Like,
is there gonna be betting for it?
I think it will be. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess they do betting for NBA All-Star games.
Yeah, and anything. Yeah. But they said that the way they do the rules, though, they vary them. So there's been times in the past where you do 3 stages, so 3 races within the full race, 40 laps, 20 laps, 20 laps. Then they said they've done it where they'll do the first 2 stages for however many laps they are, and then flip the field middle of the race. So imagine if my man Harvick is winning the first 2 stages, right? He wins the first 40 laps, then he finishes in 3rd in the second 40 laps. Then when they do the final 20 laps, they flip it. So instead of him being 3rd, now he's starting at 17th for this last bit. And if he doesn't win that, then that's the race. I'm not a fan of that per se. You know what I mean? But they say they do some of the wacky rules and different things for the cars, like different things they're allowing them to do from a setup standpoint, aerodynamic standpoint. They want to try in the All-Star race to see if they're going to implement it that following year in NASCAR. So that's the only reason why I'm just kind of like, I don't know what to really expect. But if my expectations are low, they're gonna make me feel good anyway. So I think I'm in the win.
Yeah, definitely. All right,
Yeah,
we wanna move to this list, dude.
Yeah, baby.
NFL.com keeps coming out with these hot lists.
They do, man. But one more time, man. Shout out to my dog Kevin Harvick. Just wanted to throw it out there. All right, we good now.
This one was man. I'll just let you read it off and stuff, and then I'll let you know my opinion. But I'm sure you got a take on it too.
Oh yeah, man. So the NFL. Shout out to my dog. Well, I don't even want to say it's my dog, Adam Shine, man, because he always puts our guys in a bad look, man. But he came out with a list with NFL.com where he was talking about the NFL players that were under the most pressure for the 2020 season. And this is not in alphabetical order either. It's not. It's not in team order. This is
under the most pressure.
Yeah, he just ranks the players that he feels that are under the most pressure. So at number 1, he has Cam Newton, obviously with the New England Patriots. I don't know why they still have him as a Carolina Panther on the list, but yeah, they have him as the number 1 player with most pressure. Some of the things they talk about with Cam is obviously being he'll be 31. Well, he actually is 31 going into New England, replacing Brady. It's no guarantee he's going to beat out Jared Stidham and Brian Hoyer, which I think is absolutely baloney, but that's for another day. Talking about him coming as a former MVP, the pressure associated with that, and that's why he's at number 1. And number 2, they have Khalil Mack, talking about more so the contract and how last year he ended up with, I think it was 7.5, or he had 8.5 sacks last year. And just more so, like I said, from a contract standpoint, you expect a lot more from him. At number 3, they had Patrick Peterson, basically saying he had a down season last year, but if people are high on the Cardinals next year, he's going to have to perform in a big way. Obviously, they picked up Isaiah Simmons to go along with Chandler Jones, and they expect a lot from him. At number 4, they had Juju Smith-Schuster.
Yeah.
Talking about how, we've seen him with AB and how he looked. We've seen him without AB. Obviously, he has injuries, but they don't want to use that solely as an excuse because of the success of Deontay Johnson and James Washington. So just talking about can he bounce back, what that's going to look like, and if he doesn't have a productive season, what his market is going to look like from a free agency standpoint, whether it's in Pittsburgh or elsewhere. At number 5, he has Jimmy Garoppolo. He talks about Jimmy G in terms of going to a Super Bowl, being one throw away. He talks about them potentially getting Tom Brady this past offseason, and just if he's good or not. And then at number 6, they have Von Miller, man. Shout out to my dog, Von. They talked about him more so with the contract standpoint. He only had 8 sacks last year. But with the money he's supposed to receive in this 2020 season, you expect a lot more from him. So that's the biggest reason why he's under pressure. Then at number 7, they had T.Y. Hilton. Shout out to T.Y. I love his celebration, by the way. But they were asking if he has the pressure to prove he could be a legit number 1 receiver or not. Now, he's had some injuries. Obviously, he's had some quarterback stuff going on out there as well.
I think he's kind of proven that, though. Be honest with you.
Hey, that's what he's saying. We're going to get into it, though.
What other receiver has been there over the past, 4 or 5 years with Andrew Luck? Dante Moncrief as his second?
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest T.Y. guy, but I think he's proved that he could be a number 1 guy for some teams.
I think, a number 1 for some teams, but I think he could be a dominant number 2 anywhere he's at.
For sure. But, he was getting 1,400 yards with Andrew Luck there, putting up.
It was a deep threat.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I think for me, he's
just not healthy. I mean, he hasn't been healthy, so I get that. And with Phillip Rivers coming in, but geez, this is one of my things with the whole list anyway. Yeah. Just me.
Well, and I think too
it on Ty here.
But my thing with Ty, I definitely think he has proven to be a number 1. But for me, I always go back to, do you have to scheme him to get him open? Sometimes we talk about with him being smaller, guys can get their hands on him, and sometimes you see him having to come out of a bunch or on the motion. When I think of number 1 guys, I think of guys like AB, DeAndre Hopkins. They don't need any help. You line them up, and they demand 2 corners every time. A corner and a safety, they demand that. If it's a single coverage, it's a touchdown. So for me, that's my only issue when I think of T.Y. And even when we talk about Juju in terms of, is he a legit number 1? That's the thing that that's what I want to see.
Yeah, I guess that's tough
season.
If we're saying legit number 1, because that might only be 10 guys. And there's 32 teams, so you're going to need a number 1 for 20 other teams.
Yeah, but that's not a negative, and it's no different than saying, hey, is that a starting quarterback, or is that a guy who just says is QB1 right now? Because we talked about last year with Mason Rudolph and Duck Hodges, where they both were the starting quarterbacks, but they weren't necessarily starting caliber at that time.
Yeah.
When we talk about a Ben Roethlisberger, when we talk about a Brady, a Breeze, they're proving that they are legit starting quarterback, franchise quarterbacks. So I think when we talk number one receivers, it's the same thing. We just haven't had the term of a franchise receiver just yet. It's more so, you know what I mean?
I like that. We should do that. Let's do that.
I think that's the difference. Like,
I wouldn't say he's a franchise receiver, right, but I think he's proven to have number one production.
Yeah, I think so as well. But like I said, that's my biggest difference. Like when I think of Hopkins, it doesn't matter.
Receiver. I like
it doesn't matter where he's at. It doesn't matter where you line him up over there by himself. He's gonna win every time, and he better have two guys associated with him. Otherwise, it's a touchdown. That's how I look at it. So that's my whole thing.
Franchise receiver.
Call it franchise.
That makes sense because, like I said, if you're gonna say a number one receiver, there's 32 teams, so there's gonna be a number one for 32 teams. Mm-hmm. So it didn't really make sense there. Now franchise, that could put you into tiers there. That could say top 10.
Because think about it, franchise quarterbacks. We talk about even in Buffalo. As much as I'm high on Josh Allen, has he proven to be a franchise quarterback just yet? Need to see it again for us to take that step. Otherwise, he's just a really good quarterback. We talked about with Jimmy G. He's proven, okay, all right. He looked like he can be a franchise guy. Can he do it again? Those are some of the things that we're seeing. So
definitely,
we came with some hot stuff over here.
Like
Shout out to my dog
franchise
Deke,
receiver. Are we just gonna put that across the board? Then?
Absolutely,
franchise running back, franchise
pass rusher, like T.J. Watt. I look at him as a franchise pass rusher, right? A franchise outside linebacker. Bud Dupree, he has to do it again. He has to prove that he can sustain that level of productivity.
I like it. I definitely like that.
We came with it. Look what we done did over here today, D.
I'm trying to think though. Has anyone done this before? It seems too easy.
Nah.
For us to trademark or patent this right now.
Why can't it be us?
Okay, I'm good with it. Yeah. I'm good with it.
The only time I hear franchise quarterback or franchise left tackle. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why it's not all positions then.
Mm-hmm. Because they ain't heard us say it yet, but now you have. Boom.
It makes sense now. Yeah, I guess all it took was one person to say it, and you did it.
Boom. This is what we do, man. This is what we do. Now, on this list right here, number 8, Aaron Jones. I don't agree with this at all. I don't really see why he's up here. He's coming off his best year ever. 1,000 yards rushing. They drafted
that running back. That's why they're saying.
Yeah, but A.J. Dillon isn't even the same style of running back. He's more the bruiser. Yeah.
He shouldn't be on this
dude had, 16 rushing touchdowns, 19 total touchdowns. Yeah, and he's only 26. I don't really agree with that. And then at number 9, they have Leonard Fournette. But they talk about with Leonard Fournette, they say, number 1, the maturity element of it. I'm not a fan of that because I think the situation he's in Jacksonville is toxic.
Yeah, it's garbage.
And you see why all the guys there that have been productive, all Pro Bowl players won out. But then this is the thing that always gets me when they drop the names of, well, they took him over Christian McCaffrey, Patrick Mahomes, and Deshaun Watson. At the time, nobody knew they were like that, which is why a lot of teams passed on these guys. I hate the hindsight 2020.
Dude, Fournette was a beast in college.
That's what I'm saying.
Like he was the man.
If you would have took any of these guys over Fournette, they would have looked at you like you were crazy when it happened. Like
Fournette was the guy.
You can't predict what a guy's going to develop into. If that's the case, we should be trashing everybody that passed on Brady. We should trash everybody that passed on AB. That's not how it works, though. Like these guys developed, obviously, and they're where they are. But I think
different systems too.
And I think for Fournette, if I don't see him. I mean, even though he still had his best from a production standpoint season on the ground, his best year on the ground and receiving out the backfield, which was the knock on him. He couldn't catch, but he proved that this past season. But I think, man, once he leaves that situation in Jacksonville, it's going to be so much better, bro.
Yeah, I don't think he should be on this list either because no matter what he does, if he has a bad year this year, he's injured, whatever, that's not going to change my opinion of Leonard Fournette.
Not at all, bro.
I'm just going to chalk it up. All right, he's in a bad situation. I think he's going to be an elite running back with whoever he signs if they give him the opportunity. If he has a good year, all right, yeah, that's what I expect. I think he's a great running back. So I don't think there's any pressure on him at all. Like, what's he supposed to do here? Lead them to the playoffs? And, well, I did say they're one of the top 3 teams that might have a chance to go from worst to first. That's based off division, though.
Yeah, well, and the thing is, I agree with you in terms of division. It is wide open.
Yeah.
But for me, the level of toxicity that is in that organization in terms of how it's run, it's set up. It's not set up for those guys to be successful. And understanding they try to use as a knock on this, that, man, they declined his 5th-year option and nobody is willing to trade for him. Well, remember, it was a time where we talked about in Pittsburgh, would we trade for him? But it was rumors that he was going to get cut. So it's like, well, what's the point of trading for him when you can just wait for him to get released? Which still is not saying that won't happen either. But then it's like, okay, even if he isn't released, we know he's not going to sign an extension there. And with them declining his option, he's going to be a free agent next year anyways. So why are we willing to give up anything for that when we could just wait him out? Which is the smart thing to do from a business standpoint. So I personally don't see why Fournette is up here, man. I'm not really a fan of that. Yeah.
Actually, outside of probably Cam and Jimmy G, I'd take everyone off the list.
Ooh, okay.
I don't see why. Well, we talked about Ty. I mean, what kind of pressure is he really going to be having here? I think Phillip Rivers is under more pressure going to the Colts, if anything.
I agree. I would put Phillip Rivers on this list without a doubt.
Von Miller, come on, dude. He's a All-Pro, Pro Bowler. His career's already cemented.
Well, I think the issue with Von is this, man, because last year. So the issue with Von was this. Last year, when Bradley Chubb got hurt, it affected him in a big way. That was his first year since the year when he tore his ACL and he played like 7 games where he was, like I said, under double-digit sacks. It was really bad. But I think it was more so a result of the offense not being where it was supposed to be just yet. Remember, they had just had a new head coach in Vic Fangio, and they changed up everything from a defensive standpoint also. So I think it's a lot of variables that go in that. The only reason I don't have an issue with Von being on the list is because the amount of money he's making. If you're making that type of money, you expect 13 plus sacks every year. That's why Khalil Mack is up here. And I don't have an issue with Khalil because they're both contract wise in the same boat, but both of them are coming off of a 7 sack season and an 8 sack season. Like, you need a lot more than that when you're getting paid what you're getting paid. You're supposed to be the cornerstones. Imagine if we gave TJ an extension, $100 million extension. He goes out and gets 7 sacks. You can be like, yo, I understand all these other factors going on, but you gotta be a consistent double-digit sack guy if you're gonna command quarterback money, because that's what their contracts were, quarterback money at the time.
Yeah, and I guess that's my reason why I wouldn't even really want him on the list, is just because I wonder how much of it had to do with all these outside factors and with the defense and injuries and that type of stuff, because Vaughn still made a Pro Bowl. I think, didn't Mac make a Pro Bowl too?
Yeah, they made the Pro Bowl, but we talked about the Pro Bowl. It was janky.
I agree. I mean, Bud should have made it over him.
I mean, Bud's numbers compared to both of those guys, Bud's had 100%. Way better numbers.
Yes, I agree. Bud should have made it over him.
But they have the name.
If you're talking about impact, I think we talked about this, that these dudes were still balling out, though. Like, it wasn't like teams were just, we're just going to put one guy on them. They were still having a certain amount of impact. True. And like I said, I just think their legacies are both pretty much cemented. Where, all right, if you want to talk about money and performing for money, I'll buy that. I just don't know about like pressure, like where legacies are on the line. They already do have the money, so you could almost flip that and say, I'm kind of good. Like, what kind of pressure is there?
But see, I don't think when he's talking about the pressure, I don't think he's talking about from a legacy standpoint. I think he's looking at it from a micro standpoint of just
what
next
the team
season,
needs.
In terms of just next season, who's under more pressure to perform? Who has the most pressure to bounce back? We're not talking about Von or Khalil in terms of long term. Von long term is cemented.
I don't know.
Khalil is cemented.
I just think we know what we're gonna get out of them, no matter what.
That's the thing, though. We say that, but what you traditionally expect from Von and Khalil are what? Double-digit sacks, right?
Yeah, I think 12, that's their floor, 13. Though. That just goes to show how good they are. Like what happened last year.
I agree with that, but this is the issue. You can't go out there and have 7 and 8 sacks and still be getting paid $20 million as a pass rusher or whatever. I got to look at the numbers exactly, but it's in that ballpark as a pass rusher. That's not how it works. You can be an average quarterback getting paid, 25, 30 million. You can't be an average pass rusher getting paid that. That's not how it works. It's not. We know that. We see it year in and year out, man. An average quarterback could get paid nicely and can get away with a lot more stuff than an average pass rusher or average receiver or average running back.
Yeah, but if we're talking stats aside, if they're just making that impact, then...
But we talked about this before. Impact is one thing, but I still want to see it show up in the stat sheet as well.
Yeah.
We do.
I guess, that's just one of those things. I just don't really see much pressure for those guys. I do... go ahead. You want to list off...
You go ahead.
You sure, man?
Yeah, man. I don't want to cut you off.
Basically, everyone off this list except for Cam and Jimmy G, in my opinion. I don't know if I have an order for this. But yeah, I think, you know what, dude?
Well, I was going to ask, why do you keep Jimmy G up there? Because he already has the money. He's been to a Super Bowl.
I guess
he changed that team from worst to first. We saw it.
I guess this goes back to the whole, maybe I'm a little more focused on legacy and just, hey, what are you?
Okay.
And I think this season, this hinges a lot with Jimmy G and what he does. It's like, all right, are you a franchise guy or are you not? Because the verdict's out.
And now with the Cam Newton, he already has an MVP. He already has his money. He already been in the Super Bowl. What's left of his legacy?
See,
That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, where's that one at?
I'm good with Cam being on there just from the standpoint. Now, you could probably make an argument for him not being on there, but I think it's just new situation, being up in New England system. And he's been away from the game for a year. And I think just there's questions. Can Cam do it? You know, there's been times like with Chad Ochocinco, he's gone up there, and there's been Albert Hainsworth. I think there's certain players that have gone up there and have underperformed. So people are wondering, is Cam going to be able to go up in the Patriots system?
Okay.
And can he do it? So I think that's where a little bit of the pressure comes. New thing, and it's Tom Brady. Like he's coming after Tom Brady. Like that's a big thing.
I understand coming after Tom Brady. I get that portion of it. But what you were saying in terms of a year away from the game, in terms of him coming back and can he regain that level of play and things like that, can't the same thing be said about Phillip Rivers and Ben Roethlisberger? More so with Ben because Ben was actually away, but Phillip coming off of a down season, new scheme, new team and everything like that. Obviously, Ben coming back from missing that time, new offense. In theory, in terms of personnel, a lot more new faces out there for him. I mean, I could make an argument that those guys should be up there as well.
Yeah, I just think their legacies are more stable, I guess, not staple. Yeah. With Cam, though, I mean, I think this could teeter him a little bit where, like, you know, if he comes out and balls out with the Patriots and a big contract might be on the line for him, too. Whereas with those guys and their legacies, I mean, they're later on in their careers. Now, the question is it – now, I'll bring this up, too. Yeah. Cam, Phillip Rivers, Ben, for just next season and their impact on the team and how much pressure is there. I mean, I would even argue Cam just for next season just because the Patriots don't have those type of weapons on offense. Whereas Phillip Rivers, I mean, if he just does a little bit better than Jacoby Brissett, the Colts might be in the mix. That's what I mean. I mean, I could see the argument for Ben just because I think the offense is going to be going through him. He's going to be orchestrating
and when you
everything.
Talk legacy, I think he still has the most to gain in turn. I mean, obviously,
I don't think he's got anything to lose, though.
You're right. In terms of if he goes out and he stinks it up or whatever, he will forever be where he's at. Yeah. But when I talk about legacy in terms of him, I know in your book where you have him ranked at, but I'm saying like for the general public, for him to move up, it would need another Super Bowl. He would need an MVP, whether it was regular season or Super Bowl MVP. He would need that for his legacy. And I think that's the part where if we're talking, is it cemented? I think he's cemented as a Hall of Famer regardless, but in terms of the level of who he is, when you talk about all-time great quarterbacks, where he falls, I think that changes a lot.
I know I said you can make an argument for Ben, but the more I'm thinking of it, Ben stepping into this situation, he's just 80 or 90% of Ben and with our defense and what could be needed for our team. I just think more might be required for Cam up in New England, to be honest with you.
No, I agree.
Just that's for next season.
I don't have an issue with Cam being at number 1 on this list.
I don't know where I'd have him. I think he should be there. I definitely think he should be there. Now, wait, do you have a disagreement with Jimmy G being on there?
Well, no, I think he should be up there. I didn't have an issue with him being at 2 either because I think a lot hinges.
Wait, so he's at
him.
5 right now. You're moving him up to 2.
Excuse me. Yeah, I would have moved him up just because. Because Khalil Mack was at 2 on the list. But when we're talking about with Jimmy G, the reason why I would think he should be higher is because we know the expectation for that Niners team going forward. Now they can't have a one and done or a divisional round exit in the playoffs. Not after that team that they put together last year. And when you look at their roster this year, you can make an argument they have the best roster in the league. Like across the board, they are stacked.
Maybe not receiver, but
you could. But obviously, they have some injuries with Debo.
Just how their system is, though. Yeah,
they are set up, man, to be very successful to make another run. So you would have to assume the only reason why they won it would be if Jimmy G took a step back. And that's the pressure that I see with him because it's not going to be just, hey, go out here and throw for 5,000 yards. I don't view him as a Patrick Mahomes or Drew Brees. I look at him as a high-end Alex Smith. I think like he is a way better version of an Alex Smith. I don't see him as a guy that's going to come out and lead the league in passing. I don't see him as a guy that's going to lead the league in touchdowns. But he's going to be a guy that's highly efficient, going to have great QBR and going to take care of the ball. He's going to lead your guys. So that's why for me, it's weird in terms of what I expect from him, but I expect the team as a whole because of him to be back in that conversation NFC Championship game.
So you're saying it hinges on him though. If
It does,
if they
yeah.
can take it to the next
Because
level,
we've
which I
seen-
agree. I mean, it goes back to what I was saying earlier. Are you the guy? Are you the franchise
Right.
guy? Can we count on you? And we saw in the Super Bowl you missed the throw. And
One throw.
unfortunately,
It's one throw. But I know you about to make this whole narrative on that one throw.
dude,
Just
I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm
Jeez.
definitely not saying it's right or wrong, but you missed the throw, man.
because I mean, if that's the case, we could say if it wasn't for Tyreek Hill, Patrick Mahomes might have. Choked.
No,
Whoa,
come on,
what?
dude. Mahomes made the throw.
Tyreek was the one who went and made the play.
Whoa, dude. No, Mahomes made that throw. It's
He
it's
just threw it up in the air.
no way, man.
What are you?
In the breadbasket though, on the money,
Bro. He just let me just throw it in his
On
eyes.
the
I can
money,
throw it
dude.
real quick, man.
dude. Mahomes is on my good side, so I'm defending Mahomes, man. I am, dude.
It was fluke, bro.
No
It was
way.
fluke, bro.
No way.
Nobody want to say it. I said it was
Clutch,
fluke, bro.
clutch, dude. Come on.
Okay.
No
Okay.
way, dude.
All right.
No way.
Tyreek Hill.
No, Mahomes was clutching that Super Bowl the whole fourth quarter and
No,
everything.
absolutely. His second half, because remember the first half he was struggling.
Yeah.
I mean, going into the fourth quarter, he was struggling.
I
bro.
know, that's what I mean.
It
Fourth
wasn't
quarter.
as if. Yeah, but that's my thing.
You want the guy.
Okay.
I don't care. You want the optimal scenario where you're great for all four quarters. But
Yeah, which Mahomes traditionally
in
is.
the
He had
course
a
of a
bad
game, sometimes that doesn't happen. It didn't
Okay.
happen the one Super Bowl where Patriots went up against the Seahawks.
Yeah.
And Brady balled out in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with Mahomes and the Chiefs. I would rather have that guy who's going to step up when the pressure's on,
Which
as
is
opposed
fine.
to the person that's great in the first three, but you can't count on in the
All I'm
fourth.
saying is this: with Mahomes, it's safe to say that he didn't have this great game that you're trying to make it out to be. That's all I'm saying.
It was great because it was gritty.
You just said he didn't play good until the fourth quarter with a couple minutes left because they were
He
actually
didn't play
losing.
bad though. He didn't play bad.
It was not a Mahomes game. It was an average game for him, was it not?
It was average, yeah.
Average at best for him going into the fourth. With like 5 minutes left.
Look at Jordan's game 7 against the Jazz in 1998.
This is the thing, bro. You're trying to make it as if that's a knock on Mahomes. It's not a knock on him. I'm just simply saying don't make it as if his Super Bowl performance was so masterful because it wasn't. He had a great
the gritty
ending.
performance, dude.
Okay, for me, give me Mahomes from the AFC Championship game that year and the year before where he balls out the whole game. I would rather have that. If we're gonna rank his performances, I'm not gonna just say that, oh man, because the last 2 minutes of this game, a fluke play happened here and a great play happened here, and you know what? Yeah, it was a great performance on Mahomes. It wasn't. We can all agree upon that. He would even say it himself.
No,
that's my thing. Like you try that like
that's
this.
fine. He's just being humble, though.
Bro, that Super Bowl was not. Bro, come on, stop it, stop it.
Did he have over 300 yards?
Oh, now we're doing the yards thing again, right? We're doing the yards thing again?
I just know what I saw, dude. And I saw Mahomes come up clutch in the biggest, that's the biggest stage.
No. I said that. I agree with you on that. But don't make it because that portion of the game he played well, that just makes it the whole game was a good game for him because it wasn't.
I'd rather have that guy, though. He's
No. Are we really saying who we'd rather?
A lot.
We're not saying who we'd rather take between Jimmy G and Patrick Mahomes. That's not like I'm not following you here. All I'm simply saying is don't make it as if this Super Bowl performance from Mahomes was so masterful because it wasn't.
No, all I'm saying Jimmy G proved that he didn't get it done. That's all. Mahomes did and Jimmy G didn't. And that's kind of why you're taking that's a reason. That's a reasoning as to why you would take Mahomes over Jimmy G. What if it was flipped?
What do you mean?
What if it was flipped? What if Jimmy G made the throw and Mahomes missed that?
Okay.
Man,
I don't have an issue either way.
No, but what I'm saying is Mahomes would be looked a little bit different right now.
By you, not by me.
And Jimmy G, he made the throw. He came up clutch.
I'm not changing my opinion on either one of them off of that one play. I'm not personally
Super Bowl champion. Like that's a difference right there. That's
for me. I'm not changing my perspective on that one play because for that one pass right there, we could point to the same play that should have been a holding call on Bosa when they tackled that man on that same play. If that's the case, it doesn't happen.
But Brady isn't Brady. Mahomes isn't Mahomes.
Bro.
Big Ben isn't Big Ben. Without the clutch performances, Russell Wilson, like you need that. What separates them from like Matt Ryan and some of these mid-tier quarterbacks? It's these great moments.
Well, I agree with the great moments, and you know what else that I like about Mahomes is he got a Super Bowl MVP. So you know what, he's great in my book.
I did give him the MVP. I said it was good.
Man.
I said it was good.
Yeah,
And
I feel like that separates him from a lot.
And Big Ben should have won the Super Bowl 43 MVP.
Man. You dropping that now? That's what we're doing?
It's whatever, dude. And
give me tone time, baby. One time.
I just want to talk about Mahomes, dude. I don't want to get into this. I want to compliment Mahomes. He's on my good side, man. He's clutch. Like I'm gonna back him, dude. I'm gonna back Mahomes. He's got me on his side for the rest of his career right now.
It's all good, man. It's all good. But that's why for me, I don't have an issue with Jimmy G being on the list at the end of the day, because I do think that he still has something to prove this upcoming season. But
absolutely.
I think, man, I don't have an issue with Juju on the list either. The only reason when I think of Juju's pressure, I think of the fact that Steelers already drafted Chase Claypool. So if, obviously the Steelers had other needs that they could have addressed, whether it was running back, whether it was on defense, whether any other position, offensive line, they chose to take Chase Claypool. So for me, that lets me know that they already view him as, hey, look, man, if it doesn't work out with Juju, you're going to be the guy. So for me, when I think of Juju, I think of the pressure, number one, to stay in Pittsburgh. You're going to have to ball out. You're going to have to prove that, hey, I'm the guy going forward. But then from a league standpoint, he's going to have to also be able to prove that, hey, I'm good enough that you can pay me as a number one receiver, and you're gonna be fine with that investment in me because I can produce like that. But it's more so going to be based off what he does this season. That's the pressure that I think of Juju. It's the contract element of it. Do you want to stay in Pittsburgh? Or even if you don't stay in Pittsburgh, are you trying to get paid? Because the only way that's going to happen is by him producing. If he goes out and has an average year, that's going to kill his market, because it's going to be 2 years removed from AB and 2 years of him being the guy and not having the numbers, regardless of whatever happens.
Unless all it takes is one team to still believe.
Understandable. What the thing that he has on his side is he's young.
Yeah.
He's young. That's a huge benefit for him. I mean, he's younger than Joe Burrow right now. So I think that's the biggest benefit for him. So he still has time to prove. But regardless if a team believes or not, if he has another bad season this year, he's not going to get paid what the market should have been for him. If it would have been last year, he's getting that check. Or if he was a free agent this year, it would be different. But I think, man, just 2 years removed of not being able to prove that you're that guy that we saw in year 1 and year 2, that's going to have a huge impact on his market. And that's the reason why I see pressure for him in that regard.
Yeah, it's a tough thing, because if it's solely based off contract and himself, then I would definitely agree. I guess some of my thinking hinges on the Steelers season. We've talked about this before. I don't think Juju has to have a good year for us to do well. I don't think much of how well the offense does is going to be hinging on Juju. I think it's going to be on Ben and who he has chemistry with and how the offense is run.
But my thing is this, though. You saying that if you're a team, why would you pay Juju then?
No, right. And that's the whole thing with pressure.
Yeah, because it's individual. It's not on the team. We're talking about the individual.
Dude, if Juju has 800 or 900 yards, and he catches everything thrown his way, and that's a good season.
He's gonna get paid.
That's a good. Wait, you think he'll get paid with that?
You said if he has 8 or 900, that's pretty close to 1,000. I don't think he'll get paid number one level money, like number one receiver money, but I think he'll still get paid.
You think that gets it done for him to say he overcame the pressure? Yes, he gets 8 or 900.
Yes,
yeah. See, that's why I think that's a gimme. I think he's gonna do that.
See, I don't know if that's a gimme just yet.
Yeah, okay.
I think that's the question mark surrounding him. Whether it's you need to scheme him to get in some better, more advantageous situation. We talk about moving him back into the slot where he had a lot of his success. Those are some questions.
Yeah,
and then I understand people want to talk about the health element, but my biggest issue is when we use the health excuse. If you weren't telling me you weren't healthy during the season, like I'm not buying that. Like if you're out there on the field, and this is the same thing with James Conner, we talked about that. If you're on the field, we expect a certain level from you. That's the gift and the curse of them being how good they are. The expectation when they're on the field is A-class performance, A-class productivity. So you can't have C-level productivity and then say, well, I'm hurt, because we don't want to hear that. And then when you factor in that Deontay Johnson was hurt, also had surgery this offseason, not once did we ever hear about him complaining about an injury either, and he still was able to still produce. So I think that's the biggest difference right now when I'm thinking of Juju, and why I think he has to have that type of productivity. And it can't be, well, I was dealing with this injury, or I had this going on. Like, you get that pass this past season, because here in Pittsburgh, we're giving him that pass. Nationally, I don't think they're doing that, but just because of the Pittsburgh element, you give him a pass, but he won't get that pass again if he has another season like that.
Yeah, like I said, dude, I just think the 800 or 900 yards is a gimme. I don't know why I'm thinking that. I just think he's going to bounce back, and there's going to be really nothing to it. I would honestly probably have Connor. Maybe I got a bunch of names here.
I had Connor as one.
I would maybe have Connor in over Juju, but I'm going to list off some of these names because I don't even know if I want Connor in there.
All right, let's hear him.
Dude. You know I'm a quarterback guy, so that my whole list might be all quarterbacks, to be honest with you. But
it wouldn't surprise me.
there's some pressure on these quarterbacks. Tannehill on there. I mean, you probably knew I was going to say that.
Mm-hmm.
Derek Carr, Kirk Cousins. I don't know about Cousins, to be honest with you, actually. I just threw him out there because I think
Cousins.
I think there should be pressure on him if there isn't, because
even though you're funny,
he's a fraud.
Why should he be pressure on Cousins but not pressure on Von Miller?
Huh? Well, isn't this the last year of Cousins' contract here?
Yeah, but it's still guaranteed though.
We know who Von Miller is. Kirk Cousins, it's like, you can maybe change your legacy a little bit. But I think
here. We know who Von Miller was. We don't know what he is right now is a 7-sack guy.
No way. Dude.
That's what he was this past season.
Like, would you be surprised if he gets 10 sacks? I mean, 7's the floor, like we were saying.
If he has 10, that still isn't for Von and what he's supposed to be making. 13 sacks.
10 sacks from Von Miller is better than anything Kirk Cousins been doing.
Kirk Cousins won a playoff game on the road.
Like Von Miller
was the number one NFC team, right?
Von Miller's value compared to everyone else at his position versus Kirk Cousins' value versus all the other quarterbacks.
Okay.
I don't care how many sacks he has. Like, 7, we say 7's the floor. Yeah, if you get anything 7 and up, I mean, you're proving that you're and what kind of coverage or assignments are being pushed towards Von Miller? Like, he's always going to have a great impact,
bro. When you're getting paid what Von gets paid, 12 plus 13 plus sacks is mandatory. Imagine if Aaron Donald goes out here next year and has 7 sacks. You can look at him like he's crazy.
What if they're triple teaming though?
He's been getting triple team. That's not new.
And then you have dudes on the outside that are maybe getting a bump in sacks. That sounds like a lot
of excuses, bro.
That's not excuses.
That sounds like a lot of excuses.
What if it's just team winning? Like,
but they weren't winning out there in Denver. That wasn't the case.
What if TJ Watt gets 7.5 or 8 sacks, and then Bud Dupree has like 13 or something like that because of the attention brought to TJ?
Okay, that's one thing, but that wasn't the case last year with Von.
That's right. Well, they're gonna have Bradley Chubb out here. So what if?
So we're gonna see what it looks like.
That's what I mean. So if he gets 7.5, 8 sacks, it might be Bradley Chubb's getting 14 or 15.
It's not enough, man.
Because that Denver defense is pretty good, just all around.
Not enough, bro. It's not enough.
All right. Well, Kirk Cousins hasn't done enough at all.
Kirk Cousins went on the road in the playoffs and won in New Orleans.
Yeah, but then we saw when
walk-off fashion.
It was a lucky run. We saw what happened.
Head-to-head with Drew Brees. That wasn't lucky. Head-to-head with Drew Brees. Went to overtime, looked him in the face and said, take this.
We saw
you
it
like that?
On the road against the 49ers. It was just a disaster.
The 49ers went to the Super Bowl. That's not a bad... You can't lose to the Super Bowl representative for the NFC?
You can, but it just goes
to
prove
when you
I don't have faith in you. I have no trust in you.
They lost to the Super Bowl representative from the NFC. That's like when you say the Titans are bad. I'm like, bro, they lost to the Super Bowl champ.
This is what I'm saying is Ben Roethlisberger, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Mahomes. These dudes win these games. Like, you have faith that these guys are going to do it. Tannehill, no.
Now,
Cousins,
what do you mean they win these games?
Jimmy G, what?
What do you mean by they win these games?
They got a big part in winning these games. They come up clutch. They have big moments. They're not afraid of the moment.
When the last time Aaron Rodgers been to a Super Bowl? Just out of curiosity.
I don't care, dude. I've seen him do it before. I've seen him do it, dude. I have faith that he could do it.
Okay.
I have faith that
I'm
he
just saying,
can
when the last... How many has he been in?
He's been in one.
Okay. When was that again?
Huh?
When was that again?
It's 2010. But
what year is it now?
I just know he's a better player. What
year is it now?
Any of these guys, and he's done it.
What year is it now? What year is it now?
What is it? It's 2020. It's 10 years.
Just check.
What does that have to do with it? I know he's done it. I got faith in him. Now, if we're talking in terms of faith in him versus
a long time ago,
Big Ben, Mahomes, Brady, I have faith in those guys. Rodgers is lower on that tier list.
Okay.
But he's still above Jimmy G. He's still above Tannehill. He's still above Cousins.
Fair enough.
I'm just saying this is the type of stuff that separates. Going on the road, tough environment. I've seen Ben do it. I've seen Brady do it.
Okay. I've seen Brady do it a lot.
Yeah.
In terms of playoffs, in terms of going to Super Bowls, I've seen that.
Yeah, I've seen Ben do it. I've seen Mahomes. I saw Mahomes do it. Tip my cap to him. That was awesome last year. So, yeah, there's just a separation point with these guys, and I haven't seen Cousins do it. That's simple as that. So there should be pressure on him if there isn't. So, yeah, maybe I'll bump him off because there's really not too much hype there. Dak Prescott.
Oh, yeah, pressure.
Baker Mayfield.
Big time. Aaron Rodgers not on that list? Or does Aaron Rodgers make your list?
Nah, dude, he's Aaron Rodgers. Why does he need to be on this list?
They just drafted Jordan Love for a reason. Are you serious?
He'll be a starter on another team if they get rid of him.
Okay.
He'll get paid $30 million.
Okay.
There's no pressure.
I mean, Phillip Rivers got paid too. That don't mean he's going to be a good quarterback in Indianapolis.
Yeah, I don't know if I have Rivers on my list. I still got to think of that. I know we talked about it.
I got Rivers on my list.
All right, so who do I have as non-QBs here?
You sound like you got a lot of QBs.
Odell Beckham. See, I don't even know if I agree with that, though.
Well, no, you do got a point with that,
I think it's just the name, because, like, if I'm going to compare him to Juju, I I think they could do well without him having a great year. I think he could have another 1,000-yard year. They have a lot on the ground there. I think it's more on Baker than Odell, so I'm gonna scrap him.
Last year, him and Jarvis had quiet 1,000-yard seasons, bro. Yeah.
Are we saying Tom Brady? Maybe.
I'm not opposed to it. Trust me.
Little pressure. I know he'll live up to it.
There
but I'm
are
just
multiple quarterbacks, big name quarterbacks that I have on my list. So that's why I'm like, I don't have the issue with Brady being on the list.
Tom Brady, Trubisky, Sam Darnold, Josh Allen, and then for other non QBs, I have James Conner potentially, Derrick Henry, Jalen Ramsey.
I like that.
And then Bud Dupree.
I like that a lot.
So I don't know. I just got a lot of names here. They got a lot of pressure. I don't know how to rank these, but
I agree. So we do got some carryover because it was names that I was trying to figure out how to rank as well. I definitely felt that Cam and Jimmy G were on my list. I had Juju and James Conner because I felt like with James Conner contract year, the similar situation to Juju. I mean, almost identical. I just think that Juju has had more success in his career than James has had. So that's why the expectations are a lot higher for Juju. But with James, when they drafted McFarland in the fourth round, they were putting a lot more trust in James in terms of believing in him, in terms of believing that he can show that Pro Bowl form again. But like I said, this is a contract year for him as well. Yeah. So that's why I'm like, yo, that's a lot of pressure because he's going to have to prove that, number one, he has to be able to stay healthy. But number two, he has to prove that he could be just as productive or better than he was that Pro Bowl season because they're going to lean on him a lot this year.
Yeah, and I think that's why I'd go him over Juju just in terms of I think he's going to be getting the rock more. I think we're going to be rolling a lot of the offense through him. He's going to be out there in passing scenarios and running scenarios, 3 down back completely. So I guess that's why I have him over Juju. Well, and because we mentioned this before, Juju could have 2 or 3 yards or 2 or 3 catches in a game. And, we could still win pretty handily, I think
the thing that you hit on right there that I agree with is James' pressure is solely going to be based on his productivity because the opportunities he's going to get.
Yeah.
With Juju, his pressure is more so because they drafted Chase Claypool and what we expect from Deontay Johnson. It could phase Juju out where they're still winning without him having an impact. The Steelers aren't going to win if James Conner isn't having an impact. I think that's the difference. Like we talk about how Juju could have 2 catches and they could still go ahead and win. James Conner can't come out here and be the starting running back and have 30 yards and expect us to win. That's not going to happen consistently. I think that's why both of them have pressure, but it's different styles of pressure for both of them.
Yeah.
I think that's like why I have them both on there.
So do you have a definitive list? Because I just rattled off a bunch of names. or did you just have a bunch of names too?
I had just names.
Okay, cool.
Like I said,
maybe we could name our names and then say, do they live up to the pressure? Like, I guess go past the pressure, or do they falter under the pressure?
Because see, for me, I said Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Big Ben. Those are the 3, and obviously Rivers. But for me, I think Rivers has already declined. So what we expect from him next season,
not according to him though, right?
Yeah, not according to him, man. He's probably pissed I even said that. But from my perspective, I already view him as taking a huge step back last year just from watching what I saw from him on tape. Whereas with Ben, Brady, and Aaron Rodgers, the expectation for them is still greatness. We know what they are when they are on. When they are healthy, they are 3 of the best quarterbacks we've ever seen play this game. So from my perspective, that's why they have the most question marks coming into next season because number one, Brady, he's coming to a whole new system. Can he do it without Belichick?
Yep.
Is he still going to be accurate? Is he still going to be able to have success down there in Tampa? People thought he took a decline or took a step back. Me and you both agree that we don't think he's taking a step back, but we think the situation wasn't the best for him last year in New England. So I think that's why he's up there. When we talk about Big Ben, I mean, the whole narrative is he's coming off of elbow surgery. We're expecting him to be one thing, but we won't know until we see it. But he has to still, the team goes as he goes, especially when you consider last year, they were a 500 team, but going into the last 3 games, they were above 500, 2 games? But they were sitting at, or 3 games, they were 8-5.
We're 8-5.
Yeah, and in position to have a playoff spot.
Just need to beat the Jets, dude.
So when we're talking about Ben coming back, the expectation is not just playoffs, because think about the last 3 years now, the playoffs and the times they've missed, it hasn't been the best situation. But we're expecting deep runs in the playoff because of the defense that is already here, because of, the piece that we have on offense. So now that pressure is on Ben. So that's why for me, I'm like, it's a lot of pressure on Ben to perform this season.
I could see it. Yeah.
And then when I talk Aaron Rodgers, last year, let's be real, he had a decent year, but it wasn't an Aaron Rodgers year. It wasn't one of his traditional, man, like Aaron Rodgers doing what he does type years. It was a good year, but it wasn't his level years. And then when you see them draft for Jordan Love, you're like, okay, they're already letting you know that, hey, you're on the clock now. Regardless if it's 2 years, if it's 4 years, you're on the clock. So for me, when I think of that, I think, hey, Aaron, he can't have a just good years. He has to go back to being great. Otherwise, they're going to go with the cost-efficient option, which is going with the young quarterback and stacking up the pieces around him, like we saw with Seattle, like we're currently seeing with the Niners, and like we saw with the Chiefs. That's the model. So for Aaron Rodgers, he has to come back and be Aaron Rodgers. He can't just be a good quarterback with the contract that he has. That's just how it works. That's the business side of this. And then from there, man, I didn't have Bud on the list because I said for me, Vaughn and Khalil, because they're already on those mega deal contracts, the pressure for them to perform is so much greater. Whereas with Bud, if Bud goes out there and has 7 sacks this year, he's still going to get his big contract. It's not going to be 100. It might not be 100, but it's still going to be a massive contract. Whereas with Vaughn and Khalil, if they go out there and have another average year, a 7 or 8 sack season, they might be on the cutting block. Realistically,
whoa,
it's not a whoa when you're looking at what they're.
Let's pick them up then.
Okay, but I guarantee we're not going to pay them what they're getting paid. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. That's the difference. You talk about a guy that already has a legacy, already has money. Yeah, that $20 million cap hit that Vaughn's supposed to have, then you're not getting a $20 million cap hit getting 7 sacks. For 13 sacks, I'll deal with it. You imagine.
Let's see the impact though, like I said.
Okay, so imagine if Bud had a $20 million cap hit and he only had 7 sacks. You'll be over here like, hey, look, man, we need to make some moves, baby.
Yeah, but he's the second guy though, as opposed to Vaughn.
So if TJ when he signs his new deal, he has a $20 million cap hit, $20+ million cap hit, and he goes out here and gets 7 sacks.
If the defense is balling out, I don't care, man.
No, because you're gonna be saying
if he's got that impact, if other people are making plays because of him, I don't care.
Okay,
be honest with you.
I hear you, man. I hear you.
I don't care.
We'll put you in the outlier category then, because for every one of you, there are gonna be 1,000 others saying, hey, you need to you find somebody else to do what he's doing. You just want somebody to just come out and give you an impact.
But I don't know if that's true. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if that's necessarily true. If he's having that type of impact and other people are balling out because of him.
When you're paying somebody what they're getting paid, the expectation, you're supposed to feel it not only in eyeball tests, but statistics as well. That's just how it goes. I mean, it regardless of if it's fair or not, that's just how it goes.
Right. But I mean, there was times, I think we talked about that Bud Dupree year where he was actually having a really good year, but just didn't have the sacks.
And
he had the QB pressures and all that type of stuff.
What was the perception on him?
That's what I'm questioning, the perception versus reality.
Sometimes perception takes over, especially
I'd rather have the reality of the team impact.
But the difference is this. Bud then, from a contract standpoint, was not the same. When you're talking about that next deal, the mega deals, listen, man, you don't have an issue with Bud's productivity when his impact from a cap standpoint is $10 million. That okay, all right, I can deal with that. I feel the impact. Cool. Stats aren't there, but you got the impact. Great. When it's a $20 million cap hit, we're talking quarterback money. That's different. You can't just be talking about, I feel his impact, but you don't really see it. That's not how it works, man.
If I see it from the other players and the defense as a whole, then yeah.
It's not how it works, man.
I understand what you're saying about how it works or how it doesn't, but I guess that's just me on where I base who has the most pressure off of. That's me then.
Fair enough.
What other names you got?
Man, so who did I name so far? I said Cam, Jimmy
I'm excited to go through these names.
I said Juju, James. I was still fine with Khalil and Vaughn. I didn't include Bud. I had Brady, Rodgers, and Ben. And who? Oh my goodness! I didn't have Jalen Ramsey. I liked him. I had
Baker, Dak, Cousins, Derek Carr, Tannehill.
See, I don't view them
Trubisky.
As I don't. Definitely not Trubisky. Just because I don't have
no pressure,
for him, bro. I look at it as
his job's on the line, dude.
It's Foles' job, man. Foles gonna be the quarterback there, bro. I'm not a Trubisky guy, bro. I'm not.
His job's on the line, dude.
His job's not on the line. He's not
NFL
good.
Career's on the line. That's pressure.
It's not pressure. It's not. It's over. You're a backup, bro. He's a backup.
He's already playing without some money.
He's a backup. He's good.
Wow.
Take your first round money and go home, man. You be a great backup. Be a journeyman. Be McCown. Yeah, he could be McCown. Dude is backing up in
Josh
Philly
McCown.
right now. He could be Josh McCown. Yeah, that's what
his career.
I don't have an issue with that.
That's a good ass career, though.
Yeah, or you know what? He could be Jay Cutler. He could be Jay Cutler. Jay Cutler made a ton of money, man.
Cutler played more though. Cutler's more productive.
Very, very much. He could be Jay Cutler, bro.
Sam Darnold, Josh Allen. Stephon Diggs?
No. So I don't have an issue with those guys. For me, I said pressure's going to be on Gilmore, though. I had Gilmore, not from a contract standpoint, but from an expectation standpoint, because people still debated whether or not he should have won Defensive Player of the Year last year, right?
Yeah.
We talk about in terms of who he beat out with your TJ Watts, your Tre'Davious Whites, your Chandler Joneses, your Shaq Barretts. So I think this year he's going to have a lot more pressure on him. And you have to assume that depending on what Cam looks like, they could be playing a lot more snaps on defense. So that's a lot more exposure for him. I think, man, just the whole expectation. And he's another one with a massive contract. He has to play at a certain level. That's the expectation for him. So I think for me, I would put him on that list as well, man.
All right, we want to run by some of these players and say they live up.
Yeah, let's do it, man.
Or they don't live up.
Let's do it. I like this.
All right, Tannehill.
I think he lives up just because they're not going to ask him to do much. All he has to do is hand the ball off to Derrick Henry, hit your play actions, scramble when you need to. I think he's built perfect for that offense. That's why for me, like, I don't have a high expectation for Tannehill. I'm not saying that he's going to be a top 10 quarterback, but he's just going to be a good quarterback. I think like with Jimmy G, when I think of him, Jimmy G has the potential to be really, really good. I think Tannehill, we already seen his ceiling. I think last year was the best you would get from a Tannehill, which is fine. And I think he can duplicate that. That's my thing. I don't think that that's like too hard to ask for him. I mean, he came in mid-season. Come on, bro. That's difficult to do, man.
I say he doesn't live up to the expectations.
But you just don't like Tannehill. We already know that.
Derek Carr.
Nah, he's not living up to the expectation. Whatever the expectation is, bro.
He might lose the job. I think it's either he loses his job in the offseason.
Yeah.
Like, they might bring in someone, maybe Aaron Rodgers, like you mentioned, if they want to bring in Jordan Love there.
Yeah.
Or they have Mariota pull a Tannehill.
See, I don't think Mariota has the capability because I think Tannehill was the more polished player, like in terms of already having success in Miami. Then he obviously dealt with some injuries, and that played a large role in terms of him ending up with the Titans. With Mariota, I just don't know if he's that good, or in terms of like as a passer to beat out a Derek Carr. Derek Carr can make the throws that he needs to make. And we saw the one year where he was lighting the league on fire. But I think the situation kind of got jacked up out there. And obviously they were going through the regime change, personnel change, that he just happened to be involved with that. But I don't know, man. I just don't see him as the long-term guy in Vegas.
Okay.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Doesn't live up. Dak. Dude. you already said, man. I'll let you switch, but...
I think he lives up, man.
No,
I think he lives up. I think he's living up.
You said Dalton mid-season QB.
No, this is the thing, though, man. Traditional offseason, I definitely would have thought Dalton would beat him out because Dalton was going to have a chance to have OTAs, learn the playbook, get comfortable. You're seeing him every day being a consistent player and all those things. Right now, as it looks, dude, we're, 2.5 weeks away from when training camp's supposed to start? And we still don't even know if it's going to start on time. Like, it's just so wacky right now. And then we're talking about preseason in terms of, okay, the NFL's proposing 2 games. The PA saying we don't want no preseason games. Like, it's just a lot in flux right now. So for me, it's hard for me to just say that Andy Dalton can beat out Dak Prescott without even showing up to a practice just yet. I think that's why right now for me, I'm like, when in an offseason like this, go with what you know.
How about this, though? Does he prove to be a franchise guy?
Well, I think that's debatable anyway. So some people will say he's a franchise guy right now. I personally don't feel like he is. But some people will say that, though.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's the better question because I think he'll have a top 15 year.
Yeah.
But I just don't think it's going to be one of those things where Jerry Jones is going to be breaking the bank.
I agree.
He's going to be running to the table and saying, hey, I want to pay you as a franchise guy. Yeah. I think Dak...
Even though he has the argument, though, like when you look at what Carson Wentz made, and you look at who's been the better quarterback.
Whoa. Between Dak and Carson?
Give me that.
No way, dude. No way.
Bro.
Carson, I think last year
don't hit me with he had an MVP season. He didn't win it.
He basically did. But
he basically didn't, though.
But anyway, dude, Dak's, team around him is so far better than Carson Wentz's. I think last year was the epitome of it. And for the NFC East, the title, we saw what happened. Carson Wentz had nothing around him. Ends up beating Dak.
He had a good game. Cool. Better career, though.
No, dude.
You're right. Your boy is a Super Bowl champ. I forgot.
Who?
Oh, man. He's a Super Bowl champ. I forgot. I'm sorry.
No way.
He has big winning under his belt, so that's why you're high on Carson. I got you now, bro.
I think there's a reason Dak's not getting paid like Wentz isn't getting paid, man.
Well, yeah, because they want to give him a 5-year. He only wants a 4-year so he can hit the market again. You're right.
I don't know what Wentz
has a 5-year.
Did he?
Yeah.
Dude, I don't know. I
Dak's
think
just smarter. Dak's
I think
give
if
me
you,
the 4 so I can get it again.
I think if you take a poll amongst GMs, they're taking Wentz over Dak.
Debatable.
It's for a franchise guy.
Debatable.
Dude, I don't think it is.
One, you don't even know if he's going to be available or not. One always gets hurt. What are we talking about?
I mean, you could say that's an issue, yes.
No, you can't say it. It is an issue. He does get hurt all the time.
But just in terms
How
of...
How many playoff games has he played in?
Hey, I can take this guy I could put out other players that are not that good and win a game with them. Yeah, Carson Wentz can do it over Dak.
How many playoff games has Carson Wentz played in?
Dude, we've talked about this with Dak and losing Amari Cooper, Zeke. He's nothing without those guys. Wentz can do it with very little talent.
How many times?
Who?
Carson Wentz. How many times?
What is it? Just once.
When was this?
Last year.
Oh, you count that one when he got hurt in the first? Was that second quarter? First quarter?
Yeah. I don't know when.
I mean, you count that? I didn't know he was going to count participation. You're right. He participated.
Come on, man.
We all said Josh was the one who played that game.
Are we holding
holding
injuries against them? Because
if we're talking about who's the better player, give me the guy I can guarantee is going to be there. Has playoff experience. He wasn't carried to a Super Bowl. He's actually played in these playoff games.
Come on,
what are we talking about? But your boy has a ring, so it's all good, man. He has a ring.
It's not about that.
He has a ring. He has big winning, according to you, man.
No, it's not like that. He's not on that tier. But yeah, Dak and Carson are in a similar tier, but I'm definitely taking Wentz. I just think he can do it with a lot of less talent around him, whereas Dak Dak has probably maybe the top 2 or 3 roster on offense. Dude, come on. Zeke, Cooper, Michael Gallup. Now they just drafted CeeDee Lamb.
I don't want to hit out of that.
Blake Jarwin's pretty decent.
Well, he hasn't had a chance to play with this new car yet. He's had the old car.
Yeah, but I think you would say top 5 over the past.
I mean,
3-4 years for sure. Especially with Zeke,
bro. Beforehand, think about it. They had old Dez Bryant as his number 1 receiver, Jason Witten as his tight end,
Zeke,
and he had Zeke in the offensive line. That's all he had. Zeke in the offensive line.
Yeah,
but you act like he's had this stacked offense. He just got Amari Cooper, and now they just picked up CeeDee Lamb.
We saw what Romo did with him, dude. That was a great offense.
Romo had a way better version of Dez Bryant also. He had a way better version of Jason Witten also.
I think Dez Bryant got worse because of Dak. That's why his numbers went down.
You say what you want to say?
Dude, if he had Romo,
so why is it no one picked him up?
Huh?
Even before he
got hurt.
No, before he tore his Achilles. Remember, he was sitting out, and then the Saints signed him at the end.
Worried about locker room problems.
Nah, whatever, bro.
Which I don't agree with. I
don't care about locker room.
I would have loved to add this.
We didn't. Hey, we can get through that, baby. As long as you ball out, I ain't gonna issue.
You want to do rapid fire real quick?
Yeah, give me rapid fire, man. Let's do it.
Baker, yes or no?
No.
Doesn't live up to expectations.
Does not.
Wow.
What about you, man? Even though I think I want him to, but I don't think he will.
Wow. I've been flip flopping on this.
Me too.
Because we talked about AFC North quarterbacks last time, and that got me swaying a little bit toward I think Baker could have a good year. Yeah, I think he'll have a good year. I don't know. I think it's going to be like the Dak situation.
But
I don't think you're going to feel really good about him being a franchise QB.
Is a good year his expectation, though? Baker, the expectation isn't a good season from Baker. Like, if we're asking, is he going to have a good season? That's different. We're asking, is Baker going to live up to expectations? Baker, he's supposed to be a top-notch quarterback. His draft position says that. The talent around him on his offense says that. Everything's in place for him to be a top-notch quarterback.
I just think he's got to stay steady. That's all. I don't think he's got to rock the boat. If he's a top 15, top 20 quarterback, they could be a 10-6, 11-5 team. He just doesn't turn the ball over. That's all. He could be a Kirk Cousins type of player.
That's not the expectation for Baker, though, bro.
That is for me, at least. Yeah, I don't know what they're thinking in Cleveland. I don't know what the league-wide word is on him. All right, we'll do a few more.
I like how we say rapid fire. And not rapid fire.
Cam, does he live up to expectations?
Yes. I'm doubling down on Cam Newton, baby. Let's ride.
I agree. I think Cam does as well.
And did you see his outfit? Did he put up to New England in?
No.
Oh, it was dope, bro. He had the plaid shorts. He had a plaid cape hanging out the back, man. Bro. It was dope. I think he was on a car seat, too, when he got out the whip. I was loving it.
Tom Brady.
Yes.
I agree. Yes.
Shout out to Bruce Arians, your boy.
Big Ben.
Yes. Better.
Oh, wait. Now I'm going to be interested in this one. Rodgers. I say yes. I think
he will. Just because I'm banking on last year being a fluke year for him. Yeah.
Who else we got? Trubisky. We'll skip that.
Heck no.
Sam Darnold.
Nah, because I think they're expecting him to be a franchise quarterback.
So you don't think he will? He'll just be the same.
I think he'll be a good quarterback. I don't know if he's going to live up to that.
Josh Allen.
Yeah, I think he'll be good. I mean, he's been already taking those steps. I don't know. Like I said, I don't view him in the same vein of like the top 5 guys that we talk about traditionally. Like, he's not in that realm. But I think he's a different style of quarterback than those guys also. I think his impact is not only going to be felt throwing, but it's going to be felt running as well.
I think he's going to disappoint.
Fair enough, man. You know, it's certain guys you don't like, man. We see it. It shows.
I got nothing against Josh Allen. Yeah, all right. I just know what I see on the tape, dude.
All right.
I think that's
the
it.
tape shows up nice, man.
Is there anyone I'm missing? Because I just went through our quarterbacks there.
Yeah, it's all good. Jalen Ramsey?
Does he? Oh, yeah. He'll be fine.
Okay.
Well, I mean, we could go back to the whole Khalil Mack, Von Miller, and Jimmy G. I don't think he does. I think he disappoints.
Man, so this is my issue. I think the Niners are going to be good still. I just don't think he's good, but they can't be good if he's not good. It's the whole, you know what, man? Thumbs down on Jimmy G, bro.
Wow.
No, you know what? Shout out to the Bay. Thumbs up. I can't. You know, wifey's from the Bay, man. She might get me, bro. So thumbs up. Jimmy
okay. G. Is there anyone else that's kind of like storylines around?
From the quarterback
Phillip
situation.
Rivers.
Phillip Rivers, I don't think he's gonna do it, bro.
Really? I think he's gonna be fine. I believe him. I believe what he said.
I think the difference is you got that nostalgia. It's certain guys you're just like, yo, that's a part of my group, like that draft class. Like I love.
I don't really like him. I don't even like Phillip Rivers that much. I really don't. Like I wouldn't rank him that high in my like final QB rankings or anything. But yeah, I think he's good, and yeah, he's been around 8 Pro Bowls, whatever the hell he has.
I thought he used to be dope. Like I would consistently have him around my top 5, like consistently. And then I just felt like of lately, man, he started to take a decline, man.
Dude, but 2 years ago,
that's what I'm saying. He was dope.
It's 1 year. That's what I think. I think last year might be a little bit of an outlier.
I'm hoping.
You don't think it's happening though?
I personally don't. Even though I think he has the best situation because the Colts team is perfect, man.
Yeah.
Like they offense, defense, offensive line. I mean, they have everything you need. It's a great situation for him. And controlled climate. You going from nice sunny LA to a dome. So you're good.
Anyone else? I think that might be it.
That might be it, bro.
I think we named about 10, 15 quarterbacks.
I think we named them. Only quarterbacks. I know how you roll, man.
They're the only ones facing the pressure.
It's all good. Don't worry about nobody else, man. Just quarterbacks only. I'm with it. But no, man, that was good, man. That was smooth, bro.
I really enjoyed it, dude. Yes, we might have went too long. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, we cooked a little bit. It happens from time to time. But either way, man, the people, they love it, man. The viewers love it. The listeners love it. And that's what we always love, y'all. So shout out to all y'all, man. The subscribers on the podcast, subscribers on the YouTube, man. Major love. Keep tuning in. We appreciate y'all for tuning in. And until next time.
Peace.